efficiency in the tax system, as well as ensure a credible and sustainable monetary union in West Africa.
The economies of the world's countries are growing fast, some at double-digit rates. However, this rapid growth is due to activities in the extractive industries, which do not necessarily have strong backward linkage to the national economy.
Despite the developments registered by the West African Monetary Zone to ensure the realization of the set goals, key challenges hindering the economic growth and development of the Eurozone need to be addressed.
In spite of this, we are committed to delivering on our obligations spelled out by the WAMS agreement. We are currently pursuing fiscal consolidation measures to rein in fiscal deficits and public debt over the medium term and bring inflation back to single-digit levels after observing single-digit inflation for more than 2 years until January 2013.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, Abdoulaye Diallo, underlined the important role the technical committee plays in providing valuable input in the decision-making process. He further stated that the global economic environment is rapidly changing as policy formulation and implementation also improved significantly. Global economic growth continues to be a growing concern as the West African Monetary Zone is mainly driven by the service and agricultural sectors.
Notable milestones have been achieved under the trade integration agenda despite the outstanding challenges, whereas the financial sector in the WAMS has remained safe and sound. The stability of the financial system has been anchored on the continuation of reforms to deepen financial markets, enhance compliance with Basel core principles, implementation of international financial reporting standards, and risk-based supervision, as well as strengthening collaboration among regulators in the zone.
This meeting is expected to single out the challenges and put in necessary measures to harmonize the facilitation of goods and services across the West African Economic Bloc. It also intends to make trade flexible with focus on the actualization of targets set by the Monetary Union. Uminjai, GRTS.
The cockle and oyster fisheries co-management plan was the subject of a one-day national review meeting held at the Nana Conference Center. Babukar Kamara has mounted exercise designed to enhance the performance of the grassroots women's organization, which utilizes marine resources for sustainable development.
The co-management plan that we are to review here today has been supported by the USAID-funded Gambia-Senegal Sustainable Fisheries Project, locally called BANAFA.
It is the second annual review meeting of the Tri-Oyster Organization, focusing on its cockle and oyster fishing co-management plan.
We have been given the exclusive user rights to use the Tambi, which is a protected area. This is from Wencho all the way to Kuloro. So what we did was we had a co-management plan. So now every year we have to come and sit down and get our partners to see what has been done and what hasn't been done.
The approval of the co-management plan by government of the Gambia sadly 2 years ago is a clear manifestation of government's commitment to ensuring the sustainable management and development of the cockle and oyster fisheries, as well as enhancing the benefits of those involved in the market value chain. It is also a clear indication of government's willingness to empower community-based organizations in the management and development of these resources.
The co-management plan, reviewed annually with its respective stakeholders, has the aim of evaluating programs and activities of the organization in line with set provision for sustainable livelihood skills for its members. This has attracted a remarkable constituent of members from neighboring Casamance region to learn from their best practice. With an estimated membership of 500 people, Tri-Oyster is committed towards poverty reduction. The review meeting witnessed presentation of fishing boat engine by the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources, Honorable Mas Aksigai.
And I believe they will make use of this very much. And lady, yalna ci jama yaga yalna ci yalla def jama yalla ko ma jëriñu waye tam nak gis nga ni nga dé topato samba señ bi ni bala nga ñew nga gom ko passé ko yoy def ko no ma
Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
The Banjul Council of Muslim Elders and the Mayor of Banjul, Abdullah Wednesday, gathered at the Banjul City Council to talk about the alarming issue of space management in the Joswang Cemetery. Uminjai of our newsroom picks up the rest of that story.
Be located on the outskirts of towns and villages, but now they can be found within built-up or residential areas, a phenomenon attributed to the huge and increasing demand for land. A case in point is the Muslim cemetery at Old Joswang. It was commissioned in 1980, but is now almost full to capacity. The question exercising the minds of the mayor of Banjul and elders of the capital city is where next. The nagging question is what prompted this meeting taking place at Town Hall in Banjul. Government usually allocates huge swathes of land for use as burial sites, but space management in the face of a population explosion, it seems, is the only way out. The mayor's statement set the stage for frank discussions that generated diverse opinions. Some even suggested that large graves that take up valuable space should be demolished. But anything that has to do with death and the dead can inflame emotions. This, however, gave rise to suggestions that the general public be consulted on what could be a highly emotive issue. One prominent individual who bought into the idea of demolishing large graves that take up space was the Imam Ratib of Banjul. Alhaji Cherno Aliou Maska also said all graves should exhumed and the remains of those buried there buried elsewhere, but was however quick to add that graves containing remains that have not fully decomposed should be left untouched. At the end of the day, the consensus was to sample the views of the general public with regards to what next step to take. Uminjai, GRTS.
Meantime, the mayor of Banjul, Imam Ratib of Banjul, and the Muslim elders wish to inform the general public that structures are being continuously erected at the Joswang Muslim Cemetery. A press release from the Banjul City Council says the act of practices contradicts the dictates and principles of the Sharia and the Sunnah. The office of the mayor, the Imam Ratib, and Muslim elders of Banjul wish to convey to the general public that with immediate effect, all sorts of erections at the Joswang Muslim Cemetery will no longer be permitted. The dispatch urges the general public to desist from this with immediate effect in compliance with our noble deen Islam. Well, time now to take our first break. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia.
The lowest international call rates ever.
Yes, you heard it. Comium offers you the lowest international tariff ever.
Lower than anywhere else.
Comium Super Savers. For the first time, you can also use your bonus credit to make international calls.
Only from Comium.
Now is the time to call family and friends all over the world at rates you can definitely afford. Comium brings you the lowest international call rates ever.
Name your country and we got the lowest rates to that destination.
One of the many reasons we say your credit lasts longer with Comium.
Comium. We are better together.
Welcome back. Voters in Egypt have overwhelmingly approved a draft constitution in a national referendum boycotted by the outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. According to figures released by the Electoral Commission, more than 90% of voters approved the document. Also in the Ivory Coast, reconciliation talks between the ruling party and the main opposition party are underway in the capital, Abidjan. We have details of these and other stories in the CFI roundup.
Jean-Louis Robinson, who ran in Madagascar's presidential election, says he will contest the results of the vote. Robinson is calling for a recount and wants voter lists checked in some districts. He's also calling for the disqualification of his rival, Harajonari Mampianin, who was named the winner. The Electoral Commission will declare the official results Friday. Robinson says he will plead his cause to regional and African organizations. We are calling on the court not to rush publication of the results tomorrow. Before the results are published, the court must decide on all the appeals that we have submitted. Egyptians voted overwhelmingly to approve a new constitution in a referendum held earlier this week. Official sources say 90% of voters approved the constitution. It won wide support amongst Egyptians who backed the army overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi last July. It is seen as a public vote of confidence in Army Chief General Fattah al-Sisi, who has hinted he will run in the next presidential election.